This one is very easy. Write in the title, please. Factor the GCF. Bless you. Factor the GCF. Let me just show you a couple and you'll pick it up right away. Okay, so for the GCF, you find the largest number of the coefficients that can divide into everything, the GCF of all the coefficients. If you don't remember how to do that, there's multiple ways of being able to figure it out, and I'll show you one of them. But then you also take the lowest exponent, the smallest exponent on each of the terms, and we practiced this last semester a little bit. So the GCF of the coefficients, you've got 28, 12, and 24. What's the biggest number that can go into all three of those?
6.
All right, go a little smaller. 4. Good. 28 can divide by 4, 12 can divide by 4, and 24 can divide by 4. 2 is also a common factor, but 4 is the greatest one. You want the biggest one. All right, so now we have a to the third, a to the first, and a to the 0. No a at all. What's the lowest? No a at all. The lowest is 0. None. All right, so what is our GCF of the whole problem? It's just 4. If there's no a in common, then it's not part of the GCF. There's an a here and here, but there's not an a here. So you would end up dividing everything by 4. So let's take a couple minutes and just figure out the GCFs, and I'll show you how to use them. Number 1, please focus here. This is all I want you to be able to do. 45, 27, and 21. 9 is close, but doesn't go into 21. So I think the biggest one is the 3. 9 works for the first 2, but it doesn't work for the third one. All right, now look at your variables. I want the smallest exponent on the variables. So let's take the a's first. What's the smallest exponent on the a's? No, there's no a, is it? Is there an a over here, though? Is there an a over here, though? So it's 0. There's no a in common. Because it has to be with all 3. So there's one a in one a here, there's 4 a's here, but there's no a's here, so no a's in common. Shh. Guys, the b's. This is not the lowest. That one's kind of big. What's the smallest exponent on the b? B to the third. Okay. So our GCF is going to be written as 3b to the third. And remember, it has to be the smallest one of any of the letters or in all 3 of them. Because you go with the smallest exponent. What is this? An 8? And that's a 3, and then there's no a here. Or there's b to the 4th here. So the smallest is the 3rd. You go with the smallest exponent of the variables, all 3 of them. You have to find the smallest one for A, and then you have to find the smallest one for B. You find the smallest one for each of the separate letters. No. No, for A, here, A to the first, A to the 4th, A to the nothing. See how this one doesn't have an A in common with anything, so that's why you don't have it. All right, number 2. The number that can go in 56, 7, 21, and 42. 7, good. Now, for the variables, this only has one variable, so just deal with that one. X fourth, X3, X2, X first. Which one is it? X first. You go with the smallest, so it'll be 7X. Look. Let me say this again. See this A here? A to the 4th, but there's no A here. So there is no smallest. Like the smallest A that there is A to the 0. It's gone. But this one actually has an X in all 4 of them. It's got to be covered in all the terms. So if it's missing from one of them, then you don't count it at all in the GCF. Number 3. What's the number? 8. Yeah, 12 doesn't go into 56. What's the variable that they have in lowest variable they have in common? None. Good. Yeah. But when you write it as 1 here, it's multiplied by each other and it disappears. Anything times 1, then 1 goes away. Just plain old 8. Yep. Number 4, what number? 10. 10 is the biggest one. How about the exponent? This one's the smallest. Good. If the smallest is nothing, then that's the one you have to include, 10b. All right, now let me show you how to use it. And this is really easy once you see the right GCF. All it is going to be is reducing. Okay, so in this case, you're going to write the GCF that you find in front of the parentheses. So let's make some parentheses. And leave yourself a little space. And let's write the GCF in front. What's the GCF of 8, 36, and 24? I think 4, yep. 6 doesn't go into all 3 of them. Okay, and what about the U's? U to the first, good. Okay, so we write 4U in front of the parentheses. It's like backwards of distribution. You have to figure out what goes down here, and some of you are going to get to where you do that mentally. But right now, I'm going to do it by dividing so everybody sees where it's all coming from. You divide everything by the GCF. You're not changing the number, you're rewriting it because the 4U is in front. Okay, so when you look at this, 8 divided by 4 becomes 2. What does U squared divided by U become? Is that a square right there? Okay.
That's UV squared.
UV squared? Okay, so the U goes away, but the V squared is left, right? Okay, they didn't have any V's in common because this one didn't have a V. All right, this one, minus. 36 divided by 4 is 9. There's only U's in that one. Good. 2 of them on top, 1 of them on bottom. You have 1 left over. And this one, 6. The U's canceled. Okay, and that's what you do. You find the GCF, you write it out in front, and then you divide everything to see what's left over. Okay, we have to first of all figure out the GCF. And then we have to do everything with the GCF. 7, 2, and 4. What is the biggest number? None. So that's just like a 1. What about the variable? What's the greatest common variable? Just M as in Mary? Is that Mary? Okay. So just an M. So we're going to divide everything by M. They didn't have any factors in common. And then we're going to put M in front of the parentheses. And the rest is just reducing. 7 doesn't reduce with anything. M to the, is that an 8 there? So M to the 7. 2 doesn't reduce with anything. What does the M become? M squared. And then what's left over here? Just 4, right? Both of those M's cancel. I'll do one more with you, then you do 2 on your own. Number 6, the very first thing you have to do is figure out what the GCF is. 4, 10, 14, and 18. What's the biggest number that can go into all of them? Just 2. Good. The 4 doesn't go into all of them. Variables. X, x squared, x3, x to the 5th. Just x. Good. The smallest one. So divide everything by 2x. I know that some of you will do that mentally. If you're doing it mentally, please make sure that you always have it right. Then we divide and see what's left inside. 4x divided by 2x. And at the end, we can make sure we write it in standard form. All right, this one. 5 and then x. This one. Good. The x to the 3rd over x becomes x squared. Good. And the directions did say right in standard form. So I'm going to say 2x times negative 8x to the 4th. What's next? Plus 7x squared. 9. Oh, gee, that looks like an 8 to me. Thank you. And then 7x squared. When I looked at the directions, it said so. So yeah, I'm doing it that way. It depends on the directions, really, but typically you do want to write in standard form. Okay. Thank you. Everybody?
Yeah.
Only the people that I heard. Okay, so try the bottom two on your own. All right. Okay.
Can I take a quiz?
Yep.